My dad always told me to kick piss at the ceiling to see if it slips, but I'm more of a throw shit at the wall to see if it sticks kind of guy. I thoroughly believe that just making stuff has a lot of merit, and if you and others are willing to build off it, it has even more merit, so I thought it'd be fun to spin the Wheel of Themes for 2 themes and create a custom commander leaning into those 2 themes, hopefully leading to some new strategies and some cool card design in the process. So a little edit here, you'll notice there's a sizable chunk of strategies missing from the Wheel of Themes. You'd be right in noticing that. I removed themes that come up on EDH Rec that only have like 20-ish cards that you can really run in the strategy, or just based around 1 card, so the Relentless Rat decks and the Shadowborn Apostle decks, they're gone. So is stuff like Cycling, Death Touch, Cantrips, as they're too narrow in card selection and not very fun. With Infect being gone too, just because I don't like it and it's my channel, man. Also, when we spin and get a theme, we're going to be removing that theme from the wheel for diversity's sake. Isn't that right, diversity? Yeah. She quit. The wheel dictates that the 3 commanders we will be making are as follows. First, we'll be designing a Pillow Fort Exile commander, followed by a Political Aristocrat commander, and finally, an Artifact Landfall commander. Huh. This actually sounds kind of fun. Is this what butterflies in your stomach feels like, guys? It's just a moth. Starting off with the Pillow Exile deck, I guess we'll just start with the colors. Which colors makes the most sense for Pillow Fort Exile? Well, blue's gotta be in there, you're crazy. Well, you know what, black actually has some good blink targets. I don't want to do that guy with black, actually has some decent blink targets. Quiet, quiet. Has the jury reached a verdict? Yes, we have, Your Honor. Jeskai, right? The colors aren't really going to be the hard part here. It's going to be making this Ken doll of a Pillow Fort theme and this Barbie of an Exile theme. Hold hands, kiss, get to third base, fuck, and make a baby we can be proud of. What was I doing? Starting off with red, white, and blue in the color identity, we'll move on. The next question I had was a simple one. What'd it do? Pillow Fort is all about stopping opponents from swinging at us, while Exile decks focus on getting card advantage short term by playing things out of exile. So the way I see it, there's 2 ways to fuck this pig. 1 second. Hello? Oh. What, I can't say fuck this pig? Okay. As far as I see it, there's only 2 ways to fornicate this swine. Nope. Have a Pillow Fort benefit as an incentive to exiling cards off top, or we have an exile incentive for Pillow Fort strategies and the opponent's not swinging at us. The first one meaning if we can exile cards off top, opponents will have a harder time attacking us. The latter meaning if opponents aren't attacking us, we get to exile more stuff off top. The question becomes which one of these designs sounds more fun to build around? To me, the first one sounds way more interesting as a commander, so let's go with that. How do we make us exiling cards off top translate into opponents not attacking us? Well, again, my mind went a few places. First and most simple, a flat-out Ghostly Prison effect based on a number of cards exiled on our side. Something like creatures can't attack you unless their controller pays X, where X is the number of cards you own in exile. Straight to the point, and definitely an interesting design. My next thought was you don't necessarily need to make yourself hard to attack, you just need to make your opponents easier to attack. It essentially functions the same as Pillow Fort. So maybe something along the lines of whenever an opponent attacks another one of your opponents, you and the attacking player exile the top card of your deck, and you guys may play that until the end of your next turn. This design could be super interesting as well, although I do lean more towards option A, as option B is cool, but it leans too heavily into the goad territory, and in a 1v1 scenario doesn't really function in any meaningful way. So, option A it is. Creatures can't attack you unless their controller pays X for each creature, where X is the number of cards you own in exile. I also like a little protection on my commander, so let's slap a little ward 2 on there, make it a 2/5 so it can block pretty good, as well as a little 1 in front of that Jeskai color, and boom. It's glorious. Now, when I thought about this creature, the first image that popped into my head was a human, fortune teller that, uses the tarot cards as, a defense wall in front of her. I thought that was kind of cool. Now throw a fantasy name on it, and a title like Tola, Abyss's Mulligan, and bam, a commander. Genuinely would like to play this as well. Run your commune with lavas in your ghostly prisons, and have a fun new way to approach Pillow Fort and exile. Next. Okay, up next we're going to be designing an aristocrat politics commander, which actually seems kind of fun. We could take the Marchesa route, but no, we're absolutely not going to do that. So as far as I'm concerned, there's a few ways to approach this. We could design a commander where a creature dying triggers a political effect. Quick, easy, interesting. Adversely, we could have some kind of political static effect that makes us and opponents sack creatures to trigger our aristocrat pieces, which Could be kind of cool. And finally, we could have a global benefit for creatures dying, incentivizing opponents to sacrifice and us to sacrifice, and turning every kill on the board into some kind of political decision, which I think is actually really cool. I think this one is actually a bit of a mix of 1 and 3. We could have a creature dying trigger a political effect globally, but a specific effect depending on whose creature died. Now, we can't just say if John's creature dies, do this, and if Melissa's creature dies, do this, because you just can't put that on a card. I had in mind something along the lines of whenever a creature the opponent to the left of you dies, do blank. If a creature to the right of you dies, do blank. Again, that's not gonna work. But we can make it feel like it's personalized person to person by making the trigger different depending on the color of the creature that dies. Designing a specific trigger for each color specifically. Really? Specific twice? That close? Actually sounds super fun. Whenever a white creature dies, its controller gains 2 life. Whenever a blue creature dies, scry 1. Stuff like that. That actually sounds like a super cool card design. If I play this board wipe, what's going to happen? If I swing here, what's going to happen? It adds a whole new political level, which I think is great. And honestly, I think we're going to roll with that idea because that idea is just so unique and it's political aristocrats if I've ever heard it. Now, this commander obviously needs to be 5 color because it's tapping into all 5 colors with stuff dying. I just think that makes sense. It also gives the players multiple routes they could go with the deck, which is always good. So to get specific, I think something like whenever a white creature dies, its controller gains 2 life. Whenever a blue creature dies, its controller scries 1. Whenever a black creature dies, its controller surveils 1. Whenever a red creature dies, its controller deals 1 damage to a creature. And let's say whenever a green creature dies, its controller puts a +1/+1 counter on target creature. When I think of a creature that benefits all those around them for, well, sacrificing to it, I thought of like a false god type thing. And I thought it'd be cool to base it out of Phyrexia because of their 5 suns. So throw a 5/5 power on it because, you know, 5 theme. And some kind of epic name on her like Sithis of 5 suns. And we've got a pretty sick commander and deck build that could literally go any way you'd want it to. Again, a commander I'd definitely build. And finally, the last commander we're building is an artifact landfall commander. This one seems really interesting, probably the one I'm most interested in designing, as landfall isn't normally an artifact-based theme, as it leans heavily into green. On this one, honestly, the picture popped into my head before anything else. I'm imagining some kind of like mirror or small artifact or like robot that's been like overgrown with vines and nature, and it's kind of fused into this hybrid and uses the nature around him to like benefit himself. This concept just screams mono green artifact creature to me. I can't imagine this thing wanting to hurt anyone, so I would instead think it would like benefit itself and like creatures around it maybe. Clearly it's gonna have some kind of when a land enters do something because it's a landfall deck. So with all that in mind, I think having a landfall ability along the lines of when a land enters the battlefield under your control, return target artifact from your graveyard with converted mana cost X or less to your hand. X is the number of times this ability has resolved this turn. Honestly, I like this first draft of an ability so much, we're just sticking with it. That's super cool. It fits great into an artifact game plan of recycling efficient artifacts in and out of grave with stuff like Mirror Retriever, while also tapping into the landfall element of green to give it a whole new approach to both strategies, which I think is super cool. Run the aforementioned Mirror Retriever and stuff like Oracle of Moldai to make sure you get as many land drops per turn as possible, and just keep cycling through those artifacts in a mono green artifact. Just cool build that's kind of not a thing right now. And definitely put those Wayfarer baubles in there because that just seems really good. But yeah, with that, we've got 3, I think, pretty awesome commanders that I would genuinely build all 3 of. If I wasn't so weird about things having to be real and proxies and stuff like that, I probably would. This is a series I definitely plan to continue as this was super fun to make, as I hope you guys agree with.
Do you guys have a deck list that you think the world just needs to see? Feel free to submit it over on the Nick's Lotus subreddit over at r/Nick's Lotus, where we take one of those deck lists and we review it every Friday night on live stream at 8 p.m. If finding new budget cards to pick up at your LGS is more your style, us here at Nick's Lotus have compiled a Moxfield list of all of our budget cards we've recommended on the channel. If you guys want to go check that out, link is in the description. If you plan on picking any of those budget cards up, or maybe something else, and you're going to order off TCG Player anyway, we do have an affiliate link now, so if you'd like to use that link, it's on screen. There's also a QR code, and it's in the description. Helps out the channel a ton. Great way to support us. And speaking of support, we have a Patreon as well at patreon.com/Nick's Lotus. Much love, guys, and go play some Magic.